Normally, YouTube is full of gurus talking about how they're winning, making big money. They're the best at what they do, and they can teach you how they do it too. Big shot business guys or entrepreneurs taking huge risks no one else is willing to take, and everybody's winning. Except right now, everybody's getting their tails kicked. In this video, I want to talk to you about how with my multiple businesses, because I own multiple businesses, 0 of those businesses have we laid off a single person. And so by the end of this video, I hope to make you a better business person because there's a lot to be learned in this economic collapse around the coronavirus and COVID-19 and all that good stuff. If all you can do is make money while it's easy, you're not a business person. There's a lot to learn, and there's so much that you can grow from in this environment. And hopefully what I can give you can actually help you survive with your business right now so you can get to the other side of it and you can keep making that big money back when it gets easy again. All right, this is Sean, Airbnb Automated. Let's talk about my businesses and what I can teach you about how to run yours. Let's jump in. All right, welcome back, Airbnb family. So this video is going to be about my Airbnb business, but my other ones. This is actually going to be in direct response to a lie that was told. See, there's a lot of haters on this channel. And of course, whenever a channel does well, you're going to have haters naturally. We broke 100,000 subscribers a couple weeks ago, ching, which is great. But there's a group on Facebook, and I'm not going to actually give the group any credit because it's just full of a bunch of like tinfoil hat crazies. But I'm going to show you one of the comments on a share. There's a guy who shared a video of mine. And this person at the bottom named Eric said that the only reason why my businesses are able to grow through this economic collapse is that I'm not paying my buildings or I'm not paying my property managers. And so I've got all this extra cash to spend. Well, first off, no, we have never hired a person named Eric. There's not a person named Eric on our payroll. We've never had a property manager named Eric. This person does not work for me. This person is just lying. But I realized something. People want me and this channel to fail so much that they're willing to lie. But through this lie came this inspiration for the video, which is for me to be able to teach you how I've not laid off a single person. And I want to talk to you about, I'm just going to quick run through the businesses that I have, the damage that has been done to them because all of them are suffering right now, but what we're doing to keep them all in play. Because the goal is, of course, to keep everybody on payroll, retain our best staff, so that way when we're back to making money again, like big time, all my best people are still in the game. Because there's 2 big rules in business that I follow, and you've heard me say it a lot. Rule number 1 in business is do not run out of cash. You can thank Ken Jones, the entrepreneurship professor from University of Houston, for telling me that. I snuck into his classes when I was homeless in 2009. He was cool with it. And his one big rule, he taught a whole semester on cash, don't run out of cash, right? So even if you don't have enough money for school, go find Ken Jones in Houston. He might let you like sit in on his classes and take tests later. Number 2 is that finding the right people, hiring, maintaining the right people, it's expensive. This book, Who, A Method for Hiring, talks about the process of onboarding. Like it's all HR. And they talk about how if you have the wrong people in your organization, that's expensive because they don't do a good job. Terminating those people and replacing them is expensive. Finding the right people in general, finding those A players for your company, it's expensive to find the right people and keep them. So aside from not running out of cash, maintaining the best staff at all costs is number one priority. Now you've seen like Grant Cardone on YouTube's trying to explain why it was necessary for him to lay off 1/3 of his people and he wants to hire them back. And you've seen it in the news, like Sonder and Lyric have laid off 1/3 of their staff respectively. And so of course in our industry, rental arbitrage, they've greatly downsized. And there's companies that can't avoid laying off or furloughing their people, like service industry. If there's no tables to serve because everything's to go only, the server can't wait their tables. So they're pretty much on the out, and that sucks. But for example, there are ways to win. Morton's Steakhouse in Dallas, if you order from them to go, any tips that you give the business goes into a tip pool to tip out the servers that can't show up to work. So they're finding a way to still generate money because their managers are the one running the business. Servers are at home, but they're still generating tips for their servers while the servers are not able to wait their tables. See, this is an example of like thinking on the fly. And this is really the heart of what I want to talk to you about here. I'm going to talk to you about my businesses, like I said, and what we're doing with them next. And then the moral of the story. We're going to talk about the concepts here that can help you stay in business. So overview of my businesses. We all know I've got a rental arbitrage business, 100 properties, millions of dollars a year in cash flow, or revenue, revenue, guys. And that whole thing. Then I also own a cleaning company, property management company. I use it on my own properties. I have other properties that we clean, we manage for, etc. I own a sales business. My oldest business, we sell newspaper subscriptions face to face. So I have managers and I have sales agents that are in grocery stores talking to people about local newspapers and why journalism needs to survive. This is a little bit of why I'm so gung-ho about justice and making sure the truth gets out, because I'm a huge fan of journalism, huge fan of newspapers, and I think the truth needs to come out at all costs. And so I almost drove this channel into the ground by running pretty much an anti-Brian Chesky campaign to make sure that he paid hosts for cancellations that they got. And we had a small win. It's still not good enough. A lot of hosts are still angry that the money that he's paying out is like pennies compared to what they should earn, but it's still a step in the right direction. And so to get off that tangent, just to recap, one of my biggest businesses is in journalism. And then fourth, I've got an education products business. I'm a consultant, not just for Airbnb hosts, but I'm a consultant for newspapers, consultant for small businesses. And we're starting to release like educational products like courses and stuff like that. There's another lie that was told on this group. Somebody claimed to buy one of my $3,000 courses and they still couldn't succeed. Well, we don't actually have a $3,000 course. We've not actually released a full course yet. So that person was lying because they've actually never bought a product from us too. The lies be everywhere. And this is why journalism needs to survive, is because newspapers are the ones who pay salary to their journalists. And that's how we can maintain truth, because a lot of free content, there's usually a catch to it, right? A lot of you are watching this channel waiting for the catch. Why is Sean giving away so much information for free? He definitely wants something in return, doesn't he? Right? See, free information always has a catch, and that's what everybody expects. But you pay a journalist a salary, they'll go do investigative reporting. And that's why journalists for newspapers are a different nature. So now we're backing out. So let's talk about the damage that was done to these businesses. Well, first off, the Airbnb cancellation apocalypse, we lost about $100,000 in revenue, I'd say. And so now we're fighting to fill our calendars back up. My cleaning business, they rely on reservations to then clean, right? So that's transactional. And property management fees, percentage of revenue. If we're making 10% or 15% on a property's revenue and all the revenue goes away, then there's no management fees, right? So the cleaning management company has suffered in the same way that the Airbnb business has suffered. My newspaper business, because of social distancing, salespeople can't have face-to-face conversations anymore, right? So they can't go to work because there's no place for them to go see prospects to talk to them about journalism. So all those people, not because we told them they can't go to work, someone else told them they can't go to work. So we've had to work around that. And then the education products business, I'm teaching people how to move forward, how to take advantage of opportunities, coaching them on their step-by-steps on an aggressive game. And right now, aggression is not the name of the game. A lot of it's just to survive, a good defense. And I've given a lot of content for free here because you all need it. I'm not going to wait and say, call me, pay me $10 a minute to keep your business afloat. No, when the getting is good and you need advanced information, then yeah, sure, you'll call me and say, okay, I want to take advantage of something cool. But right now, all the information I'm giving away is free because it has to be said. There's no one else on the internet that's going to actually give you content. Everybody else shut up. There's not a single person on YouTube that's given Airbnb hosts a way through this mess. Every other guru out there is just being quiet. Crickets. And so that's why. So my consulting business, education products business, has kind of really geared down. And so everything's making much, much less revenue. The only thing that's making the same amount of money is this YouTube channel. But ad revenue is not really that much money, right? It's like universal basic income level of money, in my opinion. Number one, the one thing I would like to say about that is diversification is a myth. If the universe is going to implode and everything's going to collapse, industry non-specific collapse, everything's collapsing. So here's the one problem with my scenario that I want you guys to be careful for. Diversification by owning multiple businesses spreads yourself thin. When everything hit the fan, I had 4 businesses that I had to solve problems for, that I had to try to find a place for my employees, find ways for them to keep working, find a way to triage and stop loss. And if you have multiple businesses like that, it's going to require so much mental energy that it's going to be harder to do that with the more businesses that you have. So if I can tell you one thing now, specializing in something will make you much more likely to survive. because if you can put all of your activity towards surviving in one area, you can be more resourceful, you can be more scrappy, right? And so that's what I'm going to tell you is diversification. It's a myth, right? If it's going to hit the fan, it's going to hit the fan everywhere, like we are going through now, right? Now, here's what I'm doing though, considering that I have multiple businesses that I'm trying to place employees for. My sales company, what I've done is I've taken my management for my sales company and I've put them in charge of a new opportunity. That new opportunity is we've got outbound sales staff calling corporate housing companies, calling nurse staffing companies, recruiters, anybody who could need a place to stay. And we're having those salespeople do outbound calls to get these people on board with this new product we're trying to offer. And then we're having our agents promote this to find hosts who need their homes filled. And we're connecting corporate housing companies and nurses to these homes that are empty. So what I've done is I've moved my sales company from something that is dead in the water for a few weeks or a few months, and I'm moving them to a new opportunity, and I'm giving them work. So that way I'm still paying them for revenue that I hope that they'll make in the future. I'm coming out of pocket while we're not making any money to give them their jobs still because I want to retain them, but I've given them an opportunity to make that money back for the company, right? So they've gone from one thing to the other. I've pivoted in this case from one operation to a new one. Now with my Airbnb business, we are following fundamentals. And what's really funny is a lot of people don't understand these for the fundamentals that they are. But if you owned a hotel, revenue management is a fundamental. Big hotel chains hire people who are directors of revenue management. That's what they do, right? Just like having somebody who's a director of customer service or operations. Revenue management is essentially every tactic that you can use to keep your hotel full at whatever price points you can, collecting as much money as possible. And there's a trade-off between occupancy and revenue. And it gets nice and complex if you dive deep into it. But the fundamentals of revenue management, even if you follow the basics, you're going to do much better than somebody who's just like flying blind. So I'm actively like deep in revenue management. And a lot of my videos that I've done lately have been teaching people how to do this. Now, this is what's keeping us solvent on our Airbnb business or short-term rental product is we're finding a way to keep enough business in play. Like I did a previous video, we're 84% occupied. Basically we look at last year, 10th through the 17th of March and 10th through the 17th of March this year when everything hit the fan. And you'll see that we're twice as full as everybody, regardless of how full that is. Like we were like high 90% occupied last year and we're 84% occupied this year because I'm still scrappy finding ways to get new bookings. Now, lastly, the education products business, it is what it is. It's detached from, I think, any real amount of effort. And you'll see that there's gurus out there who are losing so much money in the main businesses that they think that they're selling to people that the only way that they can make new money is they're increasing their activity on YouTube. You'll see ads for these guys. You've got like B&B Breakthrough, B&B Formula, B&B University, all these people who don't give you jack on YouTube unless you pay for their course. They're running more ads because they're losing money in their main business. So they're running ads to try to sell you their education products. And we're not doing that. We've kept an organic approach to our education products. If people need that product, whatever small product there is, or they want to have a phone call with me, they can take that at their leisure. But we're still going to give free content because free content really we think is the machine that'll keep our education products running. Good, honest, transparent, free content. Okay. So that is just this kind of a side business. It's probably the most passive thing I own. And it's going to do what it's going to do. It's going to go through the dips and the valleys and the peaks. Eventually, when the getting's good, people will jump on board and want to do more. That's kind of how that is. So we're leaving that alone because if that doesn't generate revenue, nobody loses, right? And so because that is absent of employees or team members, we've taken our focus away from it. And that's something to be remembered. Then moving on to our staffing, like our housekeeping management company, we're using the revenue management in order to make sure that we drive a high volume of bookings. Even if we make very little money above and beyond our cleaning costs, what this is doing is this is driving business to the cleaning company. So our staff, they're not losing work. I'm doing payroll for my team members, and all of my housekeepers who get paid by the hour, by the way, still have big paychecks. And so we're using our Airbnb business, driving our prices down to get a high volume of bookings and a lot of churn to keep our housekeepers busy. And that way we can keep our best housekeepers for when we get through this, right? So that's the general damage and response that we're going through. And what you need to understand is that if you're a business owner, being the best at what you do, specializing in something, that's the name of the game. Because going for passive income and separating yourself from the business is dangerous. You want to create money machines. You don't want to create passive income. See, I'm still here. When it's easy, I can step back and get passive. If you saw my 100,000 subscriber video where we're giving away an Airbnb property, if you watch that video, I did this highlight reel of almost everywhere I've gone over the last few years. I made this really cool I personally had the time to learn how to use After Effects and edit together a little 2-minute highlight reel of all the places that I saw. So when the getting is good and easy, I get to travel the world half the year with my camera and go be an artsy kid. And then now that it's hit the fan, I'm back leading from the front. So this is never designed to be fully passive. It's passive capable, but it's a money machine. It's not a passive income play. So now that I'm here leading from the front, I'm now looking for new opportunities. So I did a video of how I'm renegotiating my rents with my landlords, because by renegotiating rents in a win-win way, where my landlords still can win, they lose no money from my pitch, I can still pay less, but I'm giving them a way to actually not have to pay as much themselves on their mortgages. We've come up with a symbiotic way for us all to save our cash, right? So me finding solutions for my rent partners, my landlords, has been one key play. Me reaching out to corporate housing companies and travel nurse agencies as a way to fill up properties has been another key opportunity that we're taking advantage of to be able to stay full and make new revenue. Because making new money is the most important thing. Not running out of cash, you need to make new money. We could always take a loan, but taking a loan means we owe that money in the future. So plan A has always been make new revenues. So looking for opportunities, finding ways to have synergy with other people. And that's a big part of this is everybody is losing everywhere. So if you can actively think about who else is hurting right now, who does my business benefit? If they could do business with me, does that help them stay in business in any way, shape, or form? And then you find ways to work together. And that's why corporate housing companies, and let me tell you the logic here, is a good symbiotic play for us. Corporate housing companies, they get a business, and that business says we want to put 10 employees in a city. They have to go sign leases, 4-month-long leases, 6-month-long leases. They then have to go source furniture, usually from a rental place like Court Furniture. They then have to spend the time setting up the place. They mark all of that up $1,000 a month. And then over the 6 months, they make $6,000. Their profit is $6,000, but their monthly holding costs for a $1,700 a month apartment plus furniture and utilities, their holding costs are probably near $2,500 a month. So they're charging $3,500 in order to make $6,000. But if they made zero revenue, let's say that employee got laid off right now, coronavirus layoff, right? 2 months into that 6-month-long contract, there's still $10,000 left to pay. Not only did they not make that $6,000, they only cleared $2,000 over the first 2 months. And the other 4 months, they have to eat that $10,000 because they don't have a person staying there anymore because that company defaulted on the obligation. So now a corporate housing company who wants to hedge their risks can team up with Airbnb hosts who already have property, who are the ones who've signed on the line for the obligation, and their leases are cheaper. See, if you sign a 6-month-long lease as a corporate housing company, you're paying 15 to 20% more, maybe 25% more than a year-long lease. So now an Airbnb host can give that lease over at a much lower value, where the Airbnb host can still cover their obligations, and all we care about is staying in business and not defaulting on our rents. Hand that to a corporate housing company who can then go to their customers and place somebody at a profit. So the corporate housing company is guaranteeing the host will stay in business. And then the corporate housing company can make profit off of their current contracts. And if the contracts default, they don't default on a 6-month lease that they own. And if they ever go through 3 months of a 6-month-long agreement and it fails, after that 3 months, they can hand it back to the Airbnb host, and the Airbnb host could put it back on the short-term market, and hopefully 3 months from now, things will be better. See, that's a synergy play with somebody who used to be your competition. A corporate housing company used to be direct competition in the Airbnb space, but now that we're all getting punched out by this economic collapse, you find new friends when you have a new enemy. Isn't that wild? So As a business owner, it's your job to constantly see opportunity. You have to stay level-headed, you have to stay optimistic, and you can't let people get to you, because right now there's people who don't like your industry. Like, there's people who just don't like landlords. They're like, landlords deserve to go out of business. Some people just hate the man. And even a small-time landlord, somebody who worked at McDonald's until they were 22, saved up, bought a house with, like a first-time home buyer's loan, house hacked, had 2 roommates, finally got enough money to buy a new property 2-3 years later, and then put that one up for rent. And so now they're like a post-McDonald's. They lived in a trailer park when they were a teenager. They were my neighbor in Wisconsin, working at McDonald's, finally has a couple properties. And now everybody on YouTube is like, screw this crony landlord. Like, these people forget that the greatest thing about living in the United States is the vertical mobility, economically speaking. And all these people, like, they don't understand it, that the moment you have a little bit of something, you're no longer on the side of the little guy. So don't listen to people. As much as they like to spit poison and hate on your business, and they're waiting for you to fail, because like a recession just causes people to fail. Everybody's going to fail. Like, it's non-discriminatory. It's just going to be like, we don't care who you are, how long you've been in business, how much money your family's worth, how nice of a guy you are. It's just going to put a lot of people out. So it's your job to survive. And the reason why we're fighting so hard to survive is because we have employees that need us. So like I said, we've laid off 0 people. We've repurposed people from one business to take advantage of a new opportunity that's been created in this economic collapse. We've let go of allegiances and made new friends with what would be normally our adversaries to survive. And we're taking advantage of these new opportunities to keep new cash coming in, don't run out of cash, and to keep our best employees and best team members on the books. So that way, when we get through this, we have the hottest team. Like, we have the best team, and we'll get through this, because that's the name of the game. We're not thinking super far ahead right now. We're in the fight. So learn from me. Keep that short focus. Just day by day, keep your people, keep their heads on straight, keep them paid at all costs. And have fun with the haters in the comments, because they're going to be there. It's been a blast. So thank you for watching Airbnb Automated. I hope you become better business people. If anything, this economic collapse will do it. So once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.